Hello, it's your INFJ mom. I'm Joy. So today we're going to start our series of questions on self-love and just to kind of explore that area about loving yourself so that we can better love our neighbors as we are called to love our neighbors as ourself. And like I talked about in the introduction, my last video, if we can't love ourselves, how can we love our neighbors? So we are on day one. I am a little bit gleefully excited about doing this. Years ago when I did it on my Facebook, it was very helpful to me and hopefully to other people that responded in the comments. So I'm hoping that you guys will be able to, mull this over and answer the question for yourself. And I hope it will be a healing thing. I always don't want to, like induce or allow arrogance or being conceited or anything like that. I think this is, yeah. So we'll just start. Day one is, what is your biggest struggle with loving yourself? And my biggest struggle with loving myself is the acceptance of who I am. And, for most of my life, I thought that the way that I was and the way that I interfaced and interacted and the way that I thought was a result of trauma, maybe, and that I was a very broken person. I was damaged. At times, I thought maybe beyond repair. And we are all broken people. We live in a world that will break us. So I'm not saying that, that people are not broken and damaged. In some way, like one of my commenters said yesterday, in some way, we're all damaged. And definitely I can see in some of my coping mechanisms where that damage is, that I'm not a completely whole and healthy person. And on this side of heaven, I never will be. But my biggest struggle was the acceptance that my personality, the way that I thought about things, the way that I talked to other people, the way that I talked to myself, I always thought it was a result of being damaged. And accepting that I am put together in a way, this way, on purpose, for a purpose, like I always say, I'm like a broken record with that, was a divine, I just lost the word. It was done that way for a reason. That I am not put together this way as a result of damage that was done to me, as a result of ways that I perceived other people and their actions towards me. I was reminded, I didn't look up the verse, but I was reminded of the verse. I'm sure you guys have heard it, and I'm sure that you know where it is, and perhaps you will drop it in the comments for me. But before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. So that tells me that being this thing that I am, being this personality that I am, was formed on purpose. That before my little body, my little baby body took its first breath, that God, my creator, knew what I was going to be. He put me together on purpose, this way for a reason. And for me to love myself, I need to accept that all of the things that make me Joy are purposeful. And he knows the number of hairs on your head, which I kind of laugh about because I got a lot of hair and I lose a lot of hair every day. And I think it's got to be like a running quota. But the fact that an almighty God that created everything, that created all the people and has so many people and so many things to be concerned with, would know the number of hairs on my head and would be my personal God and my Father is pretty comforting. So for me, my biggest struggle is accepting the way I was created, and the way I end each video, that's part of that. To remind myself and to remind you that rather than striving to be something that you're not, rather than concentrating on the things that you are not, to live and love out of the way you were created, the way you were put together, the way you were formed in your mother's womb before the world ever knew you. And to just live out of that. Not that we can't improve ourselves, not that sometimes we don't have, unhealthy mechanisms that we cope with this world that we can't change, but to just accept who we are, how we were created, our differences from perhaps the rest of the world, and to love ourselves in that so that we can better love other people. So here's your question for today. What is your biggest struggle with loving yourself? I look forward to your comments. Thank you guys. I'm excited about this. I think it's going to be really good. Live and love out of the way you were created.